Session of the 8th edition of the India Defence Conclave. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to all of you to the 8th edition of the India Defence Conclave. We have just finished our segment on new and emerging technologies, Catalyst, before lunch. And some of you who were there in that session may find what I'm about to say now a bit of a repetition. Please bear with me. Many of you present here are aware that we launched Bharat Shakti in 2015, and we organized the first edition of the annual marquee event, which we called the Defense Attachés Conclave in August 2016. We rechristened it to the India Defence Conclave in 2021. By this time, stratnewsglobal.com was launched. Earlier this year, our third web portal focusing on space and emerging trends in cutting-edge technology, interstellar.news, was launched. We will now commence the India Defence Conclave with a focus this year primarily being on building India's defence future, the role of Indian companies and foreign OEMs. We will also be talking about collaboration in Make in India. There will be 3 knowledge sessions this afternoon, interspersed with special sessions and special addresses by eminent speakers. We will end the event with a fireside chat with the Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, followed by cocktails and dinner. I request all those present here to please make time to visit our exhibition area. The kiosks have been painstakingly put up by our partners, and I'm sure they will familiarize you with their latest products and offerings in the defense and technology domains. Also, ladies and gentlemen, and those of you who were with us in the morning, a reminder, if you are posting on your social media accounts, please remember to use hashtag IDC2023 and hashtag Catalyst 2023 and tag our handles at @StratNewsGlobal and @ Bharat Shakti BSI. Let us now begin the inaugural session. I request our founder and editor-in-chief, Nitin Gokhale, to kindly escort our dignitaries on stage. Shri Baba Kalyani, chairman of the Kalyani Group, Air Marshal Sandeep SIngh, military advisor to the NSCS, Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhari. Can I have a round of applause for these gentlemen, please? Ladies and gentlemen, from this year, we are instituting a special award to honor stalwarts who have contributed immensely in furthering India's national security objectives. This award is particularly close to our founder Nitin's heart, as he believes that some of these personalities have also mentored him and held his hand through his 40-year-old journey in journalism. This is his personal tribute to their support over the years. This year, we are privileged to start this tradition by felicitating Lieutenant General D.B. Shekatkar, retired, a renowned military thinker and strategist. I request General Sanjay Kulkarni to please escort General Shekatkar to the stage. Can I have a round of applause, please? Let us now begin the inaugural session of the India Defence Conclave. I request Nitin Gokhale to welcome the gathering.
Thank you, Nilanjana. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a bit of a stretch to have you sitting here immediately after lunch, which I hope all of you have had the sumptuous lunch that we had tried to cater to. And I know it's something called the graveyard shift, but I promise you that the fare that is being dished out in the form of discussions and insights by stalwarts here who have come from the industry, from the military, and from think tanks will not let you really sleep. With that, I must say that we are overwhelmed this time, and we get surprised every year that the demand for participation in this event just goes up, and we may have to look for another venue in the coming year because this time we had to close our registration 5 days in advance and refuse about 70 odd people from coming for this event. So I'm grateful to all of you for making it here and making this event every year something that we cherish in our annual calendar. As all of you are aware, Bharat Shakti is a digital platform which started, as Nilanjana has already told you, in 2015. And since its inception, our focus has been on national defense, policy formulation, expansion of the military industrial base in India, essentially to support India's quest for self-reliance or Atmanirbharta in defense. Atmanirbharta came into the Indian lexicon maybe 3 years ago, and self-reliance also started gaining currency maybe in 2016-17. But we somehow felt that if India has to have the global heft for to be a major power in the world, it needs to be self-dependent and self-reliant in defense equipment and defense platforms. And we thought nobody can really call itself a major power if that ability is not there. Thanks to a friend who suggested that there should be a platform to support Indian industry, even if it's a fledgling industry. And one of the former DAs, defense attaches, foreign defense attaches posted in India, that two suggestions came together. And we started off our journey in August 2016, as Nilanjana has pointed out. We recognize that the route to enhancing India's preeminence in the global community needs to be based, as I said, on self-reliance. We believe India must have the ability to largely develop, design, and produce its defense platforms. And not just in isolation, but in cooperation and collaboration with foreign entities or foreign original equipment manufacturers. Finally, let me say this, that we strongly feel that the Indian defense ecosystem must be based on a strong, competent, and adequately capitalized MSME sector. Our websites are therefore uniquely placed in their respective domains for presenting their achievements, be it in space, defense, or foreign policy, and requirements and challenges that all the OEMs, Indian defense industry, MSMEs, and anybody else who looks after the Indian defense sector faces. That's the collective effort that we believe in, and this entire gathering here is actually a reflection of that collective effort. I'm thankful very much to all the stalwarts here. Mr. Baba Kalyani has been a regular feature in our annual conclave. He's never refused my request to come for this function or even inaugurate this function. Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhari has been an old friend. Plus, he's been here now, I think, for the third time, if I'm not mistaken, from 2021. 7 days after he took over, he was here at the conference in 2021. 2022, of course, he was here. And now, of course, this is 2023. That support, unstinting support from the military leadership, both senior and middle level, and think tanks, as well as companies, Indian companies, OEMs, MSMEs, has taken this event to its the current heights that we have managed to achieve. But it's not a single-handed or individual effort. It's my team. It's everybody in this hall who has managed to give us that boost and that confidence that we can pull this off. And as we always say, that the heart of the conference is the exhibition that is done by the companies who participate. So do find time to visit that exhibition. And with that, as Nilanjana has mentioned, I had thought of actually giving back to some of the stalwarts, their contribution to my growth, my journey in the last 40 years, who have helped me, who have held my hand all along, and honor them with just a small token of gratitude and love. And this year, therefore, we are starting with someone who I regard as my earliest gurus when I was in Assam, not in Delhi. And that's where we first met, but I'll discuss that a little later. Let's start off with the actual official inauguration of this inaugural function of this conference. I thank you very much, and I welcome you again for being here in such large numbers. We are always grateful for your support. Thank you very much, and please enjoy the discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin. It is my honor to introduce Baba Saheb Neelkant Kalyani, the chairman of the Kalyani Group, to all of you. Baba Kalyani, the chairman of the Kalyani Group and chairman and managing director of Bharat Forge Limited, the flagship company of the Kalyani Group, a leading engineering conglomerate headquartered in Pune. Kalyani Group companies have joint ventures with several global MNCs. Bharat Forge Limited is today widely acknowledged as a leading forgings company in the world with the largest repository of metallurgical knowledge in the region and capability to supply sophisticated high technology components to almost every leading OEM across automotive, oil and gas, railways, marine, mining and aerospace sectors. I request you, sir, to please deliver the industry address. Can I have a round of applause for him, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Nilanjana, for that introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests at the podium, it's always been a pleasure to attend the annual mainstay event of Bharat Shakti, the India Defence Conclave in New Delhi. Nitin, over the years, you have consistently raised the bar, and I particularly take this opportunity to compliment you and your team at Bharat Shakti and Strategic News International for your stellar work in coverage and reportage of international affairs with great analysis and insight. I'm also told that the Catalyst 2023 event, which was held at the pre-lunch session earlier today, was a very unique, one-of-its-kind session with focused discussions on critical and emerging technologies. I fortunately had the opportunity to see it on YouTube on my way from the airport to here while I was just coming. Self-reliance with indigenous capability, know-how, and know-why of critical and emerging technologies. They use in both civil and military applications. The role of industry, both Indian and foreign OEMs, are some of the more pertinent topics as we craft India's defense future and along with it, India's industrial economic future. And Nitin, I'm very glad to note that these are the broad themes that you have addressed today in today's edition of the event. Before I speak on the topics, ladies and gentlemen, since last Saturday, we have all been witness to disturbing visuals and distressing turn of events from Israel, a country that has been and is a great friend of India. As a true friend and partner, Israel has contributed immensely to the Indian defense ecosystem, and I take this opportunity to express our earnest support, my personal earnest support and solidarity to the people of Israel and pray for their safety. Friends, I'm certain you will agree that in the last 5-6 years, in spite of 3 years of COVID, which came in between, as a country, we have seen a major transformation take place in India's defense industrial landscape, both in terms of policy, in terms of capability, and in terms of creativity. The domestic defense production last year crossed, I'm told, 1 lakh crores in value, with active participation and contribution from the public sector defense units, Indian industry, both large and the MSME sector, startups, foreign OEMs, and the DRDO and academia. The services, Army, Navy, Air Force, are invested with the Indian industry in development and induction of several made in India defense equipments and platforms. The MAKE projects, the positive indigenization list, the IDEX challenges, the sprint challenges by Indian Navy demonstrate this growing collaboration between industry and the three services. This makes the year 23-24 an inflection point when Indian companies, including from the private sector, have commenced to export fully indigenous advanced weapon platforms to foreign countries, as per the policy that has been put out by the Ministry of Defense and as directed or supported and mentored by our Honorable Prime Minister and supported by all the three services for making this happen. India is taking rapid strides to transform from being a net importer of defense equipment to being a net exporter of defense equipment. What is noteworthy is that the entire Ministry of Defense machinery, including senior officials, the Ministry of External Affairs, through its missions, the defense attaches in the embassies, the services, all the three services, the DPSUs, the Indian industry are taking a whole of India approach in making this happen and leaving no stone unturned to meet this ambitious objective of reaching a goal of $5 billion of export as per the Prime Minister's directive. Friends, the moot question now for all of us here, representing the government, the policymakers, the industry, the scientific and academic community, and all the three services, and the startup entrepreneurs is how do we translate this into establishing a thriving, most advanced and world-class Indian defense industrial complex? How do we stay ahead of the technology curve and not remain followers as India generally has been in the defense space for the last 75 years? What should Indian companies or Indian industry do? Let me start by citing an example of our own company. What we are doing within land systems, especially artillery systems domain, which is our key offering from our company. 3 years ago, we did not believe that the entire electronics, the embedded system software, the AI systems that we use in our artillery gun could be designed and manufactured indigenously. But today, we have a 100% made in India electronic suite, including a gun control system that is integrated in our ATACS gun. It gives us full control on technology, no dependence on external players on any critical technology, demonstrates our ability to develop high-end critical subsystems, make us extremely competitive with enhanced speed in go-to-market and at a competitive price point. With complete technology know-how and know-why within our gambit, while we developed the ATACS with the help of DRDO, and I must mention DRDO's very, very big contribution in making this happen. Without the users asking us for other weapon platforms, we have now developed 8 more weapon platforms, out of which 2 additional platforms are being exported today. So we are exporting 3 land system platforms to countries in Europe. Thanks to the Indian MOD's push, we are now beginning to see heightened traction across countries for exports of these made in India products, and we hope that we will see a much larger level of export as we move towards, as a nation, to achieve the ambitious goal that has been set for us for our exports. And the Advanced Towed Artillery Gun System, while the Indian Army program is in advanced stage of procurement process. By the way, this is the first time an Indian company is exporting a platform before the Indian Army has bought it. But the reason why we are exporting it is because our customers know that the Indian Army has tested the platform. And they believe that if something goes through the testing procedures of our services, it has to be good. Since we have developed this platform on our own, we are now looking at this land system platform fires a range of about 45 kilometers. Actually, we have done 47 kilometers. The trend that has now emerged, especially out of the learnings of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and the previous Army Chief, General Naravne, mentioned about this in his paper that he had, which I saw just last week, which he had written, that the whole doctrine of what kind of equipment you need in current geopolitical systems, current warfare dynamics is much different than what we thought we needed 20 years ago. And we are still following the doctrine that was written down 20 years ago. And I think this is the first thing that we need to change. And let me give you one example of this. If you've designed and manufactured your own platform, like ADAX, like what we have done, we are now confident that with what we see happening with technology, and that was this morning's subject of advanced technologies, we are quite confident that in another 2 to 3 years, we will have the same gun with a different ordnance being able to cross the 100-kilometer limit in terms of range by designing our own ammunition, not rocket assist, not ramjet, but something which is very basic with laws of physics. And we are working on it. And this is what allows you to do things if you are able to design your own product. While we have developed artillery gun systems as an extension to the guns, we have now accelerated development programs to design and develop and manufacture multiple variants of precision guided munitions. I personally believe that it is critical to envision the future and use the applications, future use and applications by the users, and thus proactively invest in design and development of futuristic products and platforms. As Dr. Kamath mentioned this morning in his talk, the whole DRDO ecosystem has now been expanded to bring in industry and academia into that ecosystem, and that is extremely useful for industries like us who want to take multiple steps ahead in the game that they are in. I also believe that the faster we develop such advanced systems, the faster India will succeed in its endeavor to develop a robust and vibrant defense industrial complex for the future. And if we have a strong defense industrial complex, like, I don't know, many of you must have read the book which I had mentioned many years ago, written by a professor, historian in the US, as to how the United States developed its whole industrial complex using the base first, converting the civilian base for military hardware during World War II, and creating a tremendously large industrial manufacturing base. And I think in India, we need to do exactly the same thing. What should the users and policymakers do? This is a suggestion that I have. Hitherto, the procurement doctrines and procedures are all based on reference points provided by imported weapon systems and platforms, basically the Jane's Handbook. Going forward, Indian companies must set the benchmarks, and we should design and develop, along with interaction of the user and guidance from the users, the most advanced products and platforms that the user thinks are required in the next few years. When we look at the rapidly evolving dynamic geopolitical landscape, ladies and gentlemen, the ongoing crisis in Europe is demonstrating that an industrial era land-based combat is riding on the backbone of the next generation technologies. And the world is about to experience a massive techno-industrial military revolution. Some of the new technologies that are finding aggressive use are drone swarms, combat drone systems, autonomous systems, aerial and unmanned, underwater and surface, deployed for intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance missions, precision ammunitions, use of data gathered from satellites, imagery and importance of artificial intelligence, AI, powered analytics, what the lady in the morning talked about, Nibruti, was exactly this, and the next generation sensing and imaging and communication systems. We are also seeing European and US defense establishments now undertaking expedited research and development of next generation weapons, like electromagnetic railguns. Europe has just launched a very major program in this area. The US already has this technology, long endurance and precision strike drones, stealth aircrafts. As a country, with the help of our thriving deep technology startup ecosystem, India must not only participate but emerge as a beneficiary of this techno-industrial military revolution, creating a full suite of high technology products. As a country, India cannot afford to be followers. We should not only participate, but also position ourselves, at least in some areas, at the forefront of this revolution. Indian companies shall offer most advanced products using state-of-the-art technology, pioneering innovations with full ownership of intellectual property, and assume leadership role in several future domains. I would urge the representatives from our partner countries and the foreign OEMs here to join hands with Indian companies to co-develop and co-produce for the future. This is the only road to success in establishing a new era for Indian defense, an Atmanirbhar Bharat and a Shashakt Bharat. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. May I introduce Air Marshal Sandeep SIngh, Military Advisor, National Security Council Secretariat. Air Marshal Sandeep SIngh joined NSCS on the 24th of April this year. Before joining NSCS, he served as the Vice Chief of Air Staff. He is an experimental test pilot and Category A qualified flying instructor. He has flown several aircraft and has over 4,900 hours of operational and test flying experience on the Sukhoi 30 MKI, MiG-29, MiG-21, Kiran, AN-32, Avro, Jaguar, and Mirage 2000. He played a key role in the induction, production, and weaponization of the Sukhoi 30 MKI aircraft in India. Sir, may I request you to please deliver the special address. Can I have a round of applause for him, please?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be part of this widely awaited annual Defence Conclave organized by Bharat Shakti, as has been brought out earlier itself, that I must compliment the organizers for nurturing this event. I have seen it also nearly for all the years, actually, that how it has grown. I'm honored to be here with this esteemed panel and the distinguished audiences. Actually, Nitin had earlier asked me to talk about emerging and critical technologies as part of the catalyst session, but as part of this inaugural sessions of the Defence Conclave, I think I'll talk about, from my position presently, certain national security perspectives briefly, but certainly with a flavor of technology. Okay. I certainly do not have to highlight the fact that the global security environment in the recent few years has become alarmingly volatile and complex. I think going chronologically in a reverse order, I think last weekend's horrific incident in Israel, the resurgence of military action back in Nagorno-Karabakh 3 weeks back, the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict, I think the economic and social impact of the COVID pandemic, and not to say the least, the growing intensity, frequency, and severity of the environmental effect. I think the hands and minds of all policymakers, strategic security policymakers are all full all across the globe, I say. India itself faces military, terrorism, and environmental threats of varying degree. However, our growing resolve both at political and operational levels has helped us emerge as a crucial global player, be it our handling of the COVID situation, our proactive policy making, our achievements in the field of digital public infrastructure and general infrastructure in helping our economy grow despite global constraints, and our stress towards Atmanirbharta, which is aimed at making us self-reliant and more resilient in these complex and volatile world. I think all these are clear indications of our growing geostrategic salience. The defense forces are modernizing at a rapid pace, both at structural level. So I'm sure CDS might talk about structural level changes that are coming, and also operationally, from the equipment point of view, the modernization to bring in new technology for the emerging threats. It's heartening to note that both the public sector and private sector, even more so, are showing great excitement and have been rejuvenated over the last few years to help the defense forces in this endeavor of theirs. The importance of critical emerging technologies for India certainly lies in their ability to provide us a strategic advantage, or I would say more strategic options, deterrence capabilities, operational effectiveness across multiple domains. We talk about MDO coming in, and multiple scenarios that as a country we face on the security front. While Make in India remains the guiding principle for nearly most of our defense needs, we welcome collaborations with foreign partners for joint design and development and production projects. Thanks to our government policies and outreach by everybody, including at all levels, and also awareness amongst our own industry and foreign industries through well-attended seminars like these and many others. Last few years, we have seen a general increase in the number of JVs, including the foreign OEMs setting up, many of them are here, their own facilities here to start producing for India and for the world. And that's a great sign, and I'm sure this trajectory would continue. I shall not be listing out the emerging technologies that are important for the defense or comprehensive security of our nation. I think that would have been well covered during the catalyst and knowledge sessions in the morning. But still, I would like to talk about certain issues and technologies that need special attention. There is no doubt that in recent years, drones or unmanned systems, particularly UAVs, have emerged as a disruptive element uh, in the battlefield, be it ISR, information recce, or as lethal weapons. I think the use of drones in any future conflict is a given. But I would like to highlight certain challenges. The first challenge is well known, that integrating these unmanned systems with manned systems. A lot of work in this scheming concept, various words are being used, is happening across the globe, and so much in India also. The second challenge is is associated with increasing computational capabilities, which is giving autonomy to these systems as swarms are developing. The world over, the use of autonomous systems, especially lethal autonomous systems in war, which still remains a human endeavor, is becoming a cause of concern, both from ethical and legal point of view. Certain nations have started bringing this out in the UN, in the Conference of Disarmament. India is part of that dialogue. But I'm personally a little afraid that unlike nuclear or chemical and biological restraining regimes which have been accepted, in drones, this control on autonomy, especially for lethal weapons, would be a little harder to implement. And that would remain a thing where we all need to work upon. In the response of the growing drone threat, simultaneously, as it happened with ECM and other things, the counter-drone technology, counter-drone industry has come up. Again, heartening to see in last 2 to 3 years, especially our MSMEs and even startups have come up very well for the drone industry. Exports have started, and counter-drone industry as well. But with technology, as drones and especially drone swarms become more intelligent, they will become jam resistant. Present systems particularly rely on jamming either the satellite navigation or the data links. But as they become more resistant to this, the newer technology, Mr. Kalyani mentioned that use of directed energy weapons, of be it compact laser, presently the weights are still very high, and high power microwave systems would need to come up. Collaboration of our country with other countries is being sought, and we are working towards that. Another challenge, I think, is being faced world over, and the way it's mushrooming in India is it's even more critical, is how to regulate the exponential growth in both civilian and military drones. Certain policies have been put in place. We are even more worried about presently unregulated growth in the counter-drone system. The jammers are becoming more powerful and compact. Its use, not just by military, by other paramilitaries and other forces, is required because the requirement to protect against drone is so much. And they can jam military systems, they can jam aircraft. And this is another area we at NSCS are particularly working out how to regulate both the drones and the counter-drone system so that we have a more efficient and a safer operations. Moving over to space, it would have been covered in the previous sessions. It certainly is the great enabler for modern military capabilities. However, actually such a growing dependence on space systems for communication, ISR, PNT services has also enhanced our vulnerabilities. So standby arrangements would need to be made. I think all the services are looking at it within the space segment and on the ground segment itself. That over-reliance on space, if it becomes, how do you get out of it? The adage is there of safety in numbers. I think globally, larger number of constellations with larger number of satellites are being put in place. So cooperation and sharing of space assets with friendly foreign countries, our country is already we have signed MOUs that we can share these assets. so that you have reduced your vulnerabilities for the space segment. I will talk about a little bit about immersive technologies. I think simulators in aviation have been there for a very long time and have already matured to a great extent. But simulators for land and maritime systems have started coming up. I see our own companies which are involved in this. They have done a great job and they have started exporting these systems. But modern immersive systems using VR, AR, or extended reality are coming in. And what the services want is not just as a great training aid for their combatants. These systems are being used or to be used by our maintainers as well as strategic and tactical level policymakers and implementers. So immersive systems with computational powers going up and display fidelity being going up would be there in the future for the defense forces and other elements of security apparatus. I think perhaps no talk on defense technology can be given without highlighting the importance of quantum. Dr. Sood, our principal scientific advisor in the opening, I'm sure he's a great expert. I have had several discussions with him, would have covered the importance of that, and I'm told other speakers also. So I will not harp upon that. It's a complex technology, as various witty remarks, including from Niels Bohr, that mentioned that nobody can understand quantum, neither do I very well. But I think the great research is being done all over. And here, I think with, once again, foreign partnerships we already have with some of the countries who are represented here would be required to utilize the quantum in the field of defense and security measures. It will be a real disruptive technology as these systems come in. And we earlier anticipated that they will take some time. 10 years back, we never thought that quantum will become a reality. But the rate at which some of the systems have already got fielded, including in civil, that makes us think that we have to work very hard to get them inducted for the defense forces as well. Well, while we were talking about these future or emerging technologies for the wars of the future, I think Ukraine-Russia war and the latest Hamas attack in Israel this weekend has reminded us the threat from low-cost systems, the power of tactical innovation, and finally, the old principle of war, use of surprise. That brings us to the need of greater focus and deep integration and fusion of all ISR capabilities. In our country, civilian, military, human is a very important element. So tech and human, space, cyber, all have to be amalgamated. We are doing work on that. It's a big data analytics and AI-enabled system, and that will become increasingly more complex, more data heavy. But the essentiality of that, I think, none of us can, I think, overemphasize on that. Another area which I have particularly got interested in last few months, in more so, has been how to protect our population and particularly our militaries against info war or influence operations, or what is now being called cognitive warfare. Our immediate adversaries have very well developed capabilities in that, and we need to protect against them by developing inbuilt resilience towards them. I do not know whether our national cybersecurity coordinator covered these elements, but protection against cognitive warfare is a field which I think all over we need to keep improving upon as the capabilities grow of the elements who would be inimical to us. I particularly get scared of the capability of generative AI to develop deep fakes. Real dangerous deep fakes are coming in, and it's very hard to protect ourselves against that. At the end, I would say that the national defense or national security is increasingly, it has been, but it is getting even more so as a whole of nation responsibility. While we have been talking about jointness, theaterization amongst the three defense forces, perhaps it's even more important to bring in this jointness amongst all stakeholders of national security, different ministries, including private sector. And that's the work we all should work to bring in a true jointness towards national security. I think there are representatives for several countries, as I see. I would like to say to them that timely solutions to future security challenges can best be found through collaborative approach amongst like-minded and friendly countries. To add to this cooperation and collaborative approach, I think our Prime Minister had given the vision during the recent G20 of Vasudev Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future. I may only add a safer future as we collaborate together. I once again congratulate Nitin, you and your team for organizing this, and the lessons which will be learned, which the takeaways from this, these discourses would help us certainly address our future challenges that much better, make our action plan that much more realistic. Thank you very much. Jai.
Thank you so much, Air Marshal Sandeep Singh. And now for the inaugural address, Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary, the Chief of Air Staff. He took office on the 30th of September 2021. The air officer has flown various aircraft over 3,800 hours. He was a member of the first aerobatic team on Kirans. He has been instrumental in enhancing operational capability in all his appointments and roles in the Indian Air Force. I request you, sir, to please deliver the inaugural address. Can I have a round of applause, please? Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Nitin, for inviting me once again, and compliments to Bharat, Shakti and the team for repeatedly doing an excellent job of organizing this seminar, this conclave. Ladies and gentlemen, just 2 days ago, the Indian Air Force celebrated its 91st birthday. As we march into our centenary decade, I think it's very apt for me to put forth what is the vision for the Indian Air Force in the next 10 years or so. Very clearly, our new doctrine has articulated the vision of the Air Force to be an agile and adaptable Air Force that provides decisive aerospace power in furtherance of our national interests. Now, I'm taking recourse to using the PowerPoint because, like Nitin said, this is a graveyard shift. After lunch, I've been invited to speak. So I hope I can have your attention for a few minutes on this. The vision of the Air Force is hinged on 4 pillars. Firstly is capability development, technology assimilation, HR management and training, and of course, jointness and integration. For today, I shall focus on these first 2 pillars, that is capability development and technology assimilation, and what we see that how we should chart the way for ourselves in the next 1 decade or so. Starting with the capability development, it starts with identification of future risks and constraints, as has been amply brought out by the 2 speakers before me. The ever-changing geopolitical situation, the global situation, the kind of upheavals that we are seeing across the globe has given rise to continuously reassess our capabilities, whether we need to equip and train for a short and swift war, or do we need to equip and train for a protracted conflict. Which part of the country or which part of the globe is going to be affected next is something that we need to keep analyzing all the time. Our resource prioritization, of course, will be based on a nation's requirements of balancing between economy, education, healthcare, and military requirements. The existing structure and resources need to be constantly restructured, keeping in mind the changing character of warfare. And it is for us in the leadership in the armed forces to understand that we need to always anticipate the change in character of warfare rather than reacting to it after it happens. For this, very essential that we need to understand, assimilate, and absorb the newest technologies that are available to us. Our doctrine has also very clearly spelled out that we are shifting from being merely a threat-based and demanded force to a capability-demanded force. I would like to succinctly put across the broad plans of capability development using the acronyms of A, B, C, D. A for acquire, B for boosting what the capabilities of the existing platforms, C for conserving the aging platforms, and D for developing and helping in the research and development of newer platforms and capabilities. The focus will always remain on Make in India or Atmanirbharta, with a lot of emphasis on joint ventures, transfer of technology, and of course, in-house development of technology. I shall touch upon the ABCDs in the coming slides. Firstly, the acquisition. You are all aware of the long-term acquisition program for the Indian Air Force. I have spelled it out very often. It's all over the public domain. We are looking at inducting about 156 light combat helicopters, including the requirement of the Indian Army. The AEWC Mark 1A on the same platform, that is the Embraer, and the Mark II on the Airbus 321 platforms. The C295, we received the first aircraft less than a fortnight ago, and we have signed a contract for 70 HCT-40 basic trainers. Just to give an idea of what this involves, the C295 project would involve about 125 MSMEs spread across 7 states of the country, expected to generate a little over 40 lakh man-hours of work, and 96% of total man-hour work per aircraft will be undertaken in India. On similar lines, the other equipment that we are inducting is, of course, the Akash surface-to-air guided weapon systems, a plethora of radars starting from the highly mobile and radars of the triple LWR class to the Ashlesha and the MRSAM and the weapon systems of the MRSAM class. The LCA, we have signed a contract for 83 LCA Mark 1 aircraft. And recently we have announced our decision to go in for 97 more of the same version. So we will have a huge fleet of about 180 LCA Mark 1A aircraft in our inventory. Again, just with the first contract, this gave rise to about 140 design agencies, 340 production agencies who got involved in this manufacturing of this aircraft. We have generated more than 5,000 jobs through this one contract, and you can well imagine with the forthcoming contract for 97 more aircraft, the number of agencies involved is only going to increase. When it comes to boosting our capability, we had realized the value of maintaining some old platforms by enhancing their capabilities in terms of their radar, EW systems, weapon systems, and so on. We had upgraded the Mirage 2000 fleet, the MiG-29 fleet. The major upgrade of the Sukhoi 30 fleet is on the anvil. We are moving a case for upgrading 84 Sukhoi 30 aircraft. Now, once again, for this, HAL will be the lead integrator. 51 systems on the aircraft will be upgraded. The distribution as shown, HAL will do about 30, DRDO will do 13, private vendors about 8 of them. 78% of indigenized work content. The workforce will be divided among all the divisions of HAL and about 5 to 6 labs of DRDO. A good example to follow, to emulate, would have been the MiG-29 upgrade, which was done by the 11 base repair depot of the Indian Air Force. We managed in this learning process to indigenize almost 90% of the spares required. The ARS, the automatic replenishment system, the spares that are required for continuous overhaul and servicing of aircraft, we have almost touching 100% indigenization in this fleet. Apart from the hardware, there are certain unseen factors that go on to make a very robust and important Air Force. Some of these probably are not very popular in the public domain. They're not known as to what kind of improvements we are doing. For example, we have just rolled out the Air Force Net 2.0. It's a completely new generation Air Force network based on software-defined radios. This will also support the 5G communication of the Air Force cellular network. We have ensured that all our data centers are hardened adequately. On the Air Force Net, we have now launched more than 80 applications, all of which were developed in-house. Today, we boast of being very almost paperless in our work content. We have more than 15,000 correspondence generated on a daily basis online and about 16 lakh plus digital files on the e-office. Now, we also hold one very unenviable record of operating some of the oldest platforms that any Air Force does. We are flying the Avro for more than 61 years now. The MiG-21s have finished 60 years of service. The Chetaks have finished 61, running the 62nd year of service. We have some other older aircraft like the Jaguars, the IL-76, the AN-32s, which are almost touching 40 years or more of service. In the ground equipment, we have some radars, weapon systems, once again, which are hitting half a century of service to the Indian Air Force. But we have to continue to maintain and conserve this equipment to fill in the numbers, to fill in the void till we get modern equipment. Just as an example, the OSA AK weapon system. When we realized that we have to keep the system going for another 10 years, then we went on wholeheartedly towards indigenizing the parts of this system. And so far, we've got about 180 lines indigenized, and more of them are in progress. When it comes to developing, the Indian Air Force has been an active partner with the Defense R&D labs, with HAL, and with the other academia and MSMEs to help develop the new technologies that will go into these acquisitions that are shown here, the I-2 Star, the AWC Mark II, the LCA Mark II, and the IMRH. A very critical component of our race towards Atmanirbharta in the aeronautical sector is the ability to develop our own aero engines. I think the recently signed deal with GE Aerospace for the F414 engines will entail a very large technology transfer to India. It will not only enhance the capability of our LCA Mark II, but it will be a huge boost to the Indian aerospace industry. Okay, through innovation and research and development, some of you would have heard of this competition that we had christened as Meher Baba competition, launched in 2018. And just this morning, I saw a post on the social media. I do not know really whom to attribute it to, but a very apt one. Says it was the Indian Air Force's Shark Tank event. We had invested 16 crore rupees into this project in 2018. Today, the Indian Air Force has signed contracts worth 800 crores for swarm drones and drone related equipment. The ecosystem has grown to over 2,000 crore rupees in the last 3 years alone. So a small event, a competition like the Meher Baba, and now we are running the second version of it. The Meher Baba 2 has been launched, and hopefully next year we'll launch the third version also. It has been the catalyst for the defense aerospace industry in particular. And I think this is an example to emulate. We are taking part in a huge number of projects under Make 1, 2, 3. I shall show it in the next slide. The last bullet here is, of course, the nodal technology centers in all our base repair depots. These are the link between the industry, the academia, the MSMEs, and our own base repair depots. I think they're doing great service in being able to indigenize a whole lot of spares and march towards the goal of Atmanirbharta here. Some of the capabilities that we are going to develop through innovation are as flashed here. More important is the logo on the top right. We set up a new directorate. It's called the Directorate of Aerospace Design, which is now running all these programs. The idea is, like I said, to ideate, innovate, and integrate new technologies into our existing systems. Again, through the Technology Development Fund of the DRDO and the IDEX, we are now looking at developing a huge number of solutions that will meet our future requirements. In the defense space challenges, I'm happy to announce that we have signed up for almost 30 defense space challenges with the MSMEs. And this number is only going to increase in the years to come. Some cutting edge technologies, improved situational awareness system through a YU link, which is completely developed by one Air Force officer himself. Improved cyber resilience. We are launching the integrated air command and control system, the batch 3, in a month or two. And we have to ensure the resilience of the system. Manned-unmanned teaming and solar-powered high-altitude platforms, again, niche technologies areas where we are investing our energies and our money. Apart from the aircraft and the systems, what is really not commonly known, once again, is what goes behind maintaining a robust force structure. Efficient operational logistics, redundant networks, resilient networks, integration of the networks of all the three services, and of course, upgradation of operational infrastructure. A word or two about technology assimilation, which I said was the second pillar of our vision for a strong Air Force in the next 10 years. Now, when we talk about technology assimilation, I think Sandeep Singh had just mentioned a few technologies, and I may be repetitive because we have been wearing the same uniform. I think we think on the same lines. I had not had access to his talk before this, but more or less a lot of things that he covered, I will touch upon once again. We have to realize that we are sensitive to technology. We need to incorporate disruptive technologies in our inductions, and that they will play a critical role in future conflicts. Some of these technologies in just as shown here. Okay, a few critical areas where I think our focus is now shifting is how do we assimilate how do we infuse the power of artificial intelligence into our systems. Now, starting from predictive maintenance shown on the top left, going on to the ISR, primarily now we are working on decision support systems, smart operations. Again, a very important facet of being able to capitalize on the power of artificial intelligence and big data. What we are doing is we have developed our own in-house campaign planning systems, op stamina assessment to see what kind of resources are required at which part of the country at any given time. AI modules are being used for helping us carrying out precision targeting and assimilating information gleaned from the EW systems. So like this, we are now, our focus area has been now to develop and to assimilate the power of AI to be able to put it into our systems. The space segment has been touched upon by Sandeep Singh. I will not repeat it. More importantly, our future imperatives hinge upon having space situational awareness, space control, and finally, space denial. Here, our involvement has been, of course, in the Gaganyaan program, the manned space program, real-time aircraft tracking system. Like I said, 30 defense space challenges is what we have signed up for. And of course, we have now started introducing space space technology as a part of our syllabus right from a time a cadet joins the Air Force Academy. So it's a part of our syllabus to get more awareness of what the capabilities of space are. We firmly believe that network-centric operations is the way forward in the next decade or so, reducing human intervention at various stages, cutting short the decision-making cycles. This is what is going to take us forward into the next decade. For this, we need to have predictive network analysis backed by robust security operations centers. Again, interoperability of data networks, optimization of networks to be able to shrink the OODA loop, as it is called, integration of sensors and creating advanced decision making cycles through decision analytics, and of course data protection. These are all the key areas that we are looking forward to for interacting with the MSMEs, with the industry, with the academia and all our partners. Here, the next step is, of course, information warfare, again touched upon by Marshal Sandeep Singh, the ability to carry out strategic culture mapping, predictive decision making of strategic leadership of our adversaries. How do we shape the national security construct? How do we safeguard our own networks? How do we safeguard our own people? These are again focus areas that we are looking into. The key technology imperatives, as listed in one of the slides that went by, and again alluded to by the previous speakers, is that we had to now seriously look at how some of these niche technologies can quickly be assimilated and put to military use. How will they enhance our operational capabilities at the earliest? While there are long-term requirements to incorporate quantum technology to improve our communications, or there are long-term requirements to have better AI modules for decision making, but as technology takes small steps, we also need to equally match up with that and see how best it can enhance our operational capability. In the electronic warfare systems, for example, we are now focusing on reduced form factors. Most of the electronic warfare systems so far that we owned and operated were huge, bulky, large power consumers, large emitters of heat and signatures. We had taken on a project to reduce the form factor, and we were very successful. Within 1 year of launching this effort, we were able to develop laptop-sized electronic warfare systems carrying out the same role that a huge, bulky truck-mounted system was doing a few years ago. And thereafter, next step was to network all these electronic warfare, the output from all these systems into a robust decision-making system. So our requirement now is to have more plug-and-play systems that can plug into our networks, that can enhance our operational capabilities in any way that it can. The last point, of course, is the understanding of the capabilities of AR and VR-based simulator training solutions. We have to disrupt our entire training pattern. Some of you would be aware of the HR imperatives that we are facing right now with the Agnipath scheme, where we have our airmen join us. They will remain with us for 4 years. Now, in this small time of engagement, it is very difficult to go through the complete training process. So we need to disrupt the whole training cycles, the whole training process, and use a whole lot of AR and VR-based simulators to ensure that they gather the knowledge that they are required to in the shortest possible time. So in the end, I don't know who I had to attribute this to. That's why I put an anonymous here quotation. So long as there remains a substantial period, often up to 10 years, between inception of a new weapon system and its deployment, even the very latest weapon systems are out of date in terms of what technology can deliver. So in conclusion, just to say that the vision of the Air Force in the next 10 odd years or even beyond that will be to keep pace with the technological developments, to understand and educate ourselves as to how best this technology can be incorporated to increase our operational efficiencies and efficiency in the way we work on a day-to-day basis within the Air Force. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your attention.
Tired. And for the formalities, at the beginning, I request Nitin Gokhale to please give us a small peek into his illustrious career.
Thank you very much, Niranjana. This is something that we have introduced this year. Just a brief kind of association that I must highlight with General Shekatkar. I first met him when I was in Assam exactly 25 years ago. He was a corps commander, a lieutenant general leading the 4 corps guarding the China border. the entire China border of Arunachal Pradesh. Now it's been divided into two different corps. And I had just finished my first book on the insurgency in Assam vis-a-vis the tea industry. And he had just got posted. So he read my book somehow, someone presented my book to him. And then he gave me a cold call and said, I'm so-and-so. I've read your book and I would like to meet you. Now it was an overwhelming feeling for me because I was all of maybe 35 years old, first book, not very well known outside the Northeast. And here was a three-star general himself calling and telling me, I want to meet you. So he did come down to Guwahati, where I was based. We met, and he just took me under his wings. In fact, if you look at the service that he has done all through his years, it's been from Kashmir to Northeast a number of times. He doesn't speak much about it, but he was taken prisoner by the Myanmarese army way back in the late 60s when he was chasing the Naga militants across the border from Nagaland into Myanmar. And but more than anything else, what struck me was that this man's helpful nature, the way he changed the relationship between the media and the army in Assam, which was at its lowest point when he took over as corps commander in 1998. And all that it did was to spend 2.5 hours with local language editors, Assamese editors in Assam, completely unstructured discussion with them. And they were eating out of his hand for the next 1.5 years when he was there. So what really stood out for me, and ever since then, he left Assam by end of 2000 rather. I went to Kargil in the meantime to report the war. I came back. He superannuated as commandant of the infantry school in Mao. But ever since then, he's only propelled me forward and every time encouraged me to take decisions which otherwise would have been difficult for me to take. He's been a great friend of the family. He's seen the children grow up, our children grow up from young kids to young men now. And he's really been a benefactor to me and to Bharat Shakti ever since we started this. He started a forum called Forum for Integrated National Security way back in 2004, immediately after his retirement. And that's where I met him. So only concluding remark, I would say what stood out for me was three qualities that he has and which he continues to inspire me, if not other people, is his humility, utter humility, despite being a great achiever. He's got 2 PhDs after retirement, by the way, which is a rare occurrence, and which normally people don't do. So humility, focused problem-solving approach, and firmness. Once he decided what he wanted to do, he would just carry it through. And I know from many of his juniors who went on to become 3-star officers and chiefs of the Indian Army, how in the difficult days of the Kashmir insurgency in the early 90s, he actually was a terror as well as a very popular general amongst the population, because he had empathy for the population and firmness and complete terror for the terrorists who were operating at that point in time. A great mixture, great role model for people like me, and therefore I thought I must honor him with a token of our appreciation and constitute this award called Bharat Shakti Eminent Persons Award 2023, which is the beginning of a series of awards we hope to give to many of my mentors and many of my benefactors in this long journey of 40 years in journalism. So there you are. That's General Shekhar for you. A round of applause for him. He is an inspiration. Yes. And before I ask General Shekhar to come and speak here, I want to ask another friend of mine, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, another legend, a mountain man I call him, served all along in the mountains throughout his service, mostly in the mountains of Siachen and Arunachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir and again Ladakh, to say a few words about General Shekhar. General Kulkarni, over to you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Nilanjana is looking at me not more than 2 minutes because I'm eating into your tea time. But notwithstanding, Nitin, wonderful. It couldn't have been better. And my association with him goes from a sports writer to become a think tank that he runs today. Wonderful. And my association with General Shekhatkar, who I am told to be standing here to introduce you. I first met him as a corps commander when I was commanding a battalion in Tawang. And that's the time when we were having problems with the Chinese in 1999 at the same place where we had recently, a place called Yangtze, for about 90 days. And that's the first time I met the corps commander. And thereafter, of course, our association runs long when, as part of the Shekhatkar committee, we had to reorganize the armed forces, to which whatever little contributions that we could. A brilliant man, a soldier scholar that you saw what Nitin was talking about, a man, a real humility to the core. PVSM, AVSM, VSM. A man fantastic as a corps commander, and I was only a colonel then. And then subsequently my association went as a part of the Shekhat committee, as I told you. And that's where I met Mr. Parikar. And when with Mr. Parikar, when I saw, and again, a fantastic, outstanding man. And when I met him for a meal at Nitin's place, I never expected he would just walk in, going to the airport to have dinner with us. And why I'm telling you all this, because you had been fed with so much of high technology by the Air Chief. You had so much of technology being told to you by Baba Kalyani. So I thought of making the mood a little lighter. These kind of people, when you meet en route in your journey, it's something marvelous. And then later, Nitin came, of course, writing the book, Beyond NGA 9842. We wrote all about Siachen. General Shekhatkar then again further took us all up. A man, if I am standing here today, he needs no introduction, I need an introduction. And that's the difference between him and I. I would again, to conclude, I would tell you, I was the Chief of Staff, Eastern Command, and General Dalbir was the Chief of the Army Staff. And I was told that I should be standing in a line to welcome then Raksha Mantri, Mr. Arun Jaitley. Now, Arun was a senior to me in college, and since he was senior, we knew each other well, but this aspect obviously hadn't been known to General Dalbir, who was the chief, and we also have obviously gone the political way, rose so high, became the defense minister. I was in the way from second lieutenant becoming lieutenant general and become the chief of the staff of Eastern Command. And I told him one thing, I said, sir, if you don't mind, it would be good if I don't stand in line over there. It might just be embarrassing. So he said he didn't know. I didn't want to tell him also because I wasn't very sure whether Mr. Jaitley would, acknowledge, recognize, because he'd gone as a defense minister. So in a line that we were, Arun Jaitley just walked in. He said, "Hey, Sanjay, tu kya kar raha hai idhar?" I told him, sir, I'm the Chief of Staff, Eastern Command. He looked at Dalbir. "Oh, my God, yeah." And things ended. After that, General Dalbir, when he walked up, he said, "Why didn't you tell me you knew him so well?" I said, "I didn't know that I knew him so well either." So that's where these are those kind of people that you meet en route in your journey of life. They make you, and I'm greatly honored to be able to say a few words for people like General Shekhatkar. I couldn't have asked for more. Fantastic journey, written 16 books. And if I heard you right, Nitin, you said 2 PhDs? 3 PhDs. Yeah, 3 PhDs, not just 2. That's the soldier scholar for you. Thank you very much. Grateful. Thank you, sir. You made me what I am today. Thank you.
Thank you, General Kulkarni. And now to present the award, may I request all the dignitaries on stage to do the honors. Bharat Shakti Eminent Persons Award 2023, the first in a series of awards being presented to General D.B. Shekhatkar. And the Chief of Air Staff. Thank you very much. May I request General Shekhatkar to say a few words.
The galaxy on the dais, the legendary of our nation. One is creating the arms, second one is using the arms. And third one, we have already used the arms and we are surviving because of those arms. So hats off to you all, sir, being here, and hats off to the galaxy of people. From good afternoon, we are progressing towards good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know we are running behind the time. Madam, please give me a meaningful look. I'll stop. But I won't look at you. Very kind of Mr. Gokhale to have so many good words about me. I don't know whether I did it by desire or by mistake. But I would like to say and speak in Hindi with the permission of a foreign guest. I'll explain to you. तुमने मेरी तस्वीर में इतने रंग भर दिए, तुमने मेरी तस्वीर में इतने रंग भर दिए, अब उसी तस्वीर में खुद को ढूंढता हूं मैं. Where am I? Am I the same young boy who was trained by my parents after class 12, went to college, and suddenly I joined the army when the war in 1962 was on? Our hostile neighbor, they thought they can take liberty with us. And as General Kulkarni mentioned, as a corps commander, we both of us had to teach them a lesson that no more liberty with India now. If you come, you may not go back. And they didn't go back. Where they went, we didn't know. Why I am saying this? Since morning, it's been very nice of you, Nitin, to pick up the subjects and we have been discussing. In the army, there is a saying, you are to be seen, not to be heard. But here I have been made to speak and speak loudly so that others can hear. In the Air Force, they are told, you may not be seen, but you have to be heard. Because the higher you go in the sky, the lesser you see the people. And sky is the limit. We are now graduating into space is the limit. And it is very difficult to see the space unless you go yourself into the space. It is a fact of life, the warfare. It was mentioned that I have done third PhD, 3 PhDs. Why? It is just to prove that soldiers can also be knowledgeable. They may not be literate, but they can have enough knowledge to bluff others and get the PhD. From the independent sources, Mr. Patil is looking at me because he is creating artificial intelligence to be operated under the sea. My request to you, I am now working not for PhD but for something else. After World War II, and this is where the people come into play. The experts are here. After World War II, no large nation has ever won the war against a small nation, till day before yesterday. No large nation has ever won the war against a small nation. No large army in the world after 1945. I was a young boy then. No large army in the world has won a war against a small army till day before yesterday. There are indications of future, the warfare of future, which Air Marshal Chief was trying to mention. And that is why my third PhD has been psychological warfare in 21st century and the role of social media. You can create an unknown person into a well-known enemy. It is possible. It is being done. The people whom you have not even seen, you are fighting against them. The unknown enemy, the unseen enemy, And then you say, we have killed so many people whose dead body has gone straight into space. This is the new sign of warfare, and we got to be aware. And our young generation who is putting on the uniform, my request is kindly pass it on to them. It will be faced with all these difficulties. The other point is, we talk, we deliberate, and so much of emphasis is given on the artificial intelligence. But that artificial intelligence is created by human intelligence. To survive in 21st century, you got to have uncommon common sense. If you deprive yourself of common sense, no artificial intelligence can ever help you to win the war. It may help you to destroy a few people, but winning the war has to be done with the common sense. What will hurt your enemy? Where is the weakness of enemy? When the enemy can strike you, will you be prepared or not? And this reminds me, or this forces me to another thing. If you wish to prevent a war, we are all fighting, we are all discussing on national strategy, national security, space security. If you wish to prevent a war, be prepared for it. Never be eager for war, but be prepared for it. If you wish to prevent a war, be prepared for it. If you are not prepared for the war, you will get sucked into the war at the place, the timing, and the situation which will not be of your choosing. We have seen what is happening in Europe, Eastern Europe. We are seeing what is happening in Russia and Ukraine. We are seeing what is happening in Middle East. We are seeing what is happening in Caspian Sea. We are seeing Black Sea. The other point, my request is, I won't take very long. I know we are already running for the time. The naval people will know better. The air people will know. There's a philosophy of 70, 80, 90. 70% of the world is all sea. All sea. Only 30% is the land. And the wars are all fought on the land for that, to control the sea. This is going to be a futuristic war. My study is on this issue. What will cause the war in next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 20 years? The causes of war. And that's why I say, if you wish to prevent a war, be prepared for it. If you're not prepared for a war, you will get sucked into the place, timing, circumstances of not your choosing. So 70% is the sea. 80% of the world population is staying within 230 nautical miles from the sea coast. It's a fact of life. And that's why all the wars are being fought are along the sea coast. Control of sea coast, control of sea lanes. And 90% of world trade is passing through the sea. Only 10% is going through the land route or the air routes. Now, these are the facts of life. So my request for your consideration is, please tell your young officers, wherever you are, look ahead for the futuristic concept of war. He was kind enough to give me a bust of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. He's our godfather. We learned the art of warfare from Shivaji. I belong to Maharashtra, and our godfather is Shivaji Maharaj. A small army could defeat the largest army in this part of the world. And that's why when the president of Vietnam came to this very place in Delhi, he was asked, how did you win the war against Americans? He said, you are asking us? We learned the art of warfare from your guru, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. What is there? The smaller the force, faster is the rate of strike, and earlier you get away. That is what is happening all over the world. So my request is, kindly, my request to you, Nitin, will be, maybe in due course of time, we can take on these aspects, maybe for young generation to come and study, because they will be fighting the war. We'll be watching on TV, hopefully, as we are doing now, what is happening in Israel, what is happening by Hamas, what is happening in Ukraine, Russia, and I don't want to name the people. And we taught the lesson. General Kulkarni will vouch for me. From that time, when they took the liberty in 1999, till this morning, They have not dared to come there. They will not. Your opponent, your enemy must know that you will hit them hard, and you will hit them hard provided you are capable of winning. And that is what the Air Chief was mentioning. You got to be ready for it. So once again, I thank you all. My thanks, grateful thanks to you all, sir. Baba Sahib, the Chief, Air Marshal, everybody, and Sanjay. I told you not to tell the truth, yet you spoke the truth. I don't think you will ever improve in life. I'm grateful to you for giving this chance. God bless you all. All the best.
Thank you so much. Before we wind up the inaugural session, I request Nitin to please present mementos to all our dignitaries on stage. To Shri Baba Kalyani, Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhari, General Shekatkar, Air Marshal Sandeep Singh, and General Sanjay Kulkarni. I would like to quickly propose a vote of thanks for the inaugural session of the India Defence Conclave. All our speakers on the stage whose names I just took, our esteemed guests, the foreign defence attaches, India's military officers, industry doyens, both from foreign as well as Indian defence companies, members from the MSME universe who form the backbone of the ecosystem, policymakers, thinkers, all those of you present in the audience, industry delegates, thank you for taking out the time to be here in such unprecedented numbers and supporting us. I'm sure we will have very meaningful sessions ahead. We will have lots to talk about. Right now, let's break for tea. Please, I request you to visit the kiosks. Our partners have put up kiosks very painstakingly. I request you to please visit the kiosks, know what they have to offer. Please, there's high tea, and after that, we will reconvene in exactly 20 minutes. Thank you very much.